First up, France has told its citizens to leave Lebanon as soon as possible amid fears of an all-out war between Israel and Iran-backed Hezbollah. It follows similar announcements by the United States and the United Kingdom. On Saturday, Israel and Hezbollah traded fire again, with the latter saying it launched dozens of rockets. Meanwhile, in the West Bank, more violence erupted. The Israeli army says it killed 9 Palestinian militants in 2 airstrikes. And early on Sunday, Israeli strikes killed 12 people in Gaza, 4 of whom were sheltering in a hospital complex. There's been violence in Israel too, in a suburb of Tel Aviv, and a stabbing attack carried out by a Palestinian killed 2 people. And for more on some of these developments, I'm joined by Jordana Miller, who's ABC News' correspondent in Jerusalem. Thanks for taking the time, Jordana. So first up, just tell us a bit more about this stabbing in Tel Aviv. What exactly happened there?
Well, Israeli police say that a Palestinian attacker went on a stabbing spree, stabbing Israeli civilians in 3 different locations. In the end, he killed 2 senior citizens, wounded 2 others before being shot by police. The incident comes, as you said, amid really rising violence, both in Gaza, the West Bank, and of course, the simmering tensions here as Israel awaits the Iranian response to the killing of both a top Hamas and Hezbollah leader last week, one that Hamas leader killed on Iranian soil. I think the violence that we saw this morning unfold in central Israel is part of kind of a wider string of events and tensions. We saw airstrikes, as you said, in Tulkarem in the West Bank. We saw over a dozen Gazans killed yesterday in airstrikes in Gaza City in the north, and then overnight and early into the morning, more airstrikes in central Gaza.
So in terms of this awaited response from Hezbollah and Iran that both of them have pledged to carry out, I mean, what kind of action is Israel preparing itself for?
Well, we know that now the CENTCOM commander, the commander of U.S. forces in the Middle East, is here in the region, presumably coordinating with Israel and other allies to set up a kind of joint air defense, which we saw put into action during Iran's attack last April. I think it is disconcerting that unlike the last attack that Iran launched, its first direct attack on the state of Israel, this time around, Iran seems to be keeping mum on what its plans are. It did say that Hezbollah will hit some civilian targets. That will certainly escalate the situation. And we're waiting to hear today if Israel's prime minister or the head of the Israeli army gives another briefing. I mean, the country is on edge. People are buying groceries, getting their safe rooms ready. Everyone is quite tense, and I would say there's a low level of anxiety really across the country. And yet what comes next and when still seems unclear. And all of that amid reports that Netanyahu, the prime minister, and the American president, Joe Biden, leaks now from what was, by all reports, a very difficult conversation on Thursday night, where Biden seemed to be, reproaching the prime minister for not being honest with him about what's happening with the hostage deal talks. It appears not only, from leaks here from the defense establishment, but on the face of it, it looks like Netanyahu is choosing more war instead of an agreement, a ceasefire agreement that really at this point could bring down tensions and possibly even avert Iran's reprisal strike or delay it until much later. But it doesn't look like we're heading in that direction. Despite a delegation that went to Cairo yesterday, we're hearing from sources on the ground that no progress was really made.
All right, Jordana Miller, ABC News correspondent in Jerusalem. Thank you for keeping abreast of all of that and for your update on France 24.
Thanks.